Hi, I'm Tim Sullivan, and I'm here on behalf of Icons of Fright and Tim Sullivan Shock and Roll, and I am very excited to present another pirate commentary. Yes, we are in a secret place to give you guys, the fans, a little Valentine from the folks who made Fright Night. But first, I want to introduce you to everybody that we have here with us tonight, and we have...
Our Randy Cook, Pirate Randy Cook, who did visual effects, makeup, and creature design with Steve Johnson for Richard Edlund's Boss Film Company.
Wow. And William Ragsdale, who plays Charlie Brewster in the movie.
Hi, my name is Stephen Jeffries. And
Yay!
I play Evil Ed Thompson.
Evil Ed. Hi, I'm Tom Holland. I wrote and directed it.
And I'm Jeremy Smith, a.k.a. Mr. Beeks from Ain't It Cool News. I just really like this movie.
So I'm going to hand the microphone over to Mr. Beeks, a.k.a. Jeremy Smith, who will moderate this. I will chime in maybe, or I'm just going to sit back and have a hell of a time, as I hope you guys at home are going to do. Chris Sarandon.
Yes, yay, Chris.
We, by the way, we have another companion pirate commentary that we did with Chris Sarandon and Jonathan Stark, the vampire and his assistant. So we thought we would keep them separate from the heroes. So that's why we have the vampire commentary and the hero commentary.
And the Jonathan, Charlie and Amanda are upstairs making out.
As we move in. Now, Tom, you had recently worked with...
Roddy McDowell.
Bravo.
This is your directorial debut.
Yes.
2 years after you did Psycho 3.
Psycho 2.
Psycho 2, excuse me. Sorry. With Richard Franklin, who was Hitchcock... a student of Hitchcock. This opening is there's some of it that's very reminiscent of Rear Window.
Yes, I think so.
Could you maybe talk a little about where that came from?
Yes, this is me doing actually The Window, which was a short story by Cornell Woolrich. It preceded Rear Window, and The Window is a story of a boy seeing the boy who cried wolf, seeing from his bedroom window, and it became a film called Cloak and Dagger at Universal. And I always, when I was writing it, I had the idea of wouldn't it be great if a horror fan saw a vampire moving in next door? And, I couldn't do it with Cloak and Dagger, which was not a genre movie. But I ideally wanted to write the script, and look, he's got the steak backwards, Roddy McDowell. But that's deliberate.
Was that added later, Randy, or was that actually playback on a video?
No, I wasn't there. That was
playback.
That's some other guy's job.
That's playback in a video, and I shot that independently. Anyway, I decided I didn't know how to do. I wanted to do the horror fan and out with The Window, and it's when I came up with the Roddy McDowell character. Peter Vincent, that the story fell into place. That the boy, when nobody believed him, was desperate to find somebody to help him fight the vampire next door, and goes to a horror movie star, aging, ham actor, who's on a television show as the host of, of the Friday Night Frights, which is what I grew up with. And there is Bill Ragsdale making out with...
Wow. Amanda Beers.
There you go.
What an entry. What an entry.
Right.
And I'm not talking about Amanda.
And there's
Easy.
and there's Roddy being his hammiest.
Mm-hmm. So, William, what are your remembrances of this? When was this shot in the process of doing the film?
This was pretty early on when we moved inside. We shot everything that was shot. We shot all the exteriors first, and then moved into the sound stage. And I think this is pretty early on, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember thinking, oh my God, my grandmother's going to see this. My parents are going to see this. I hope it's okay. Because I didn't really know how. The script was, they're making out furiously. You don't know what that means until later. But fortunately, it was. It's all pretty PG.
And here he is. He's frustrated, sexually frustrated. He can't get anywhere with his girlfriend. Got the terrible horror movie playing, and in frustration, he glances out the window.
Yeah. A little moment.
Yeah.
And of course, it's set up. Finally, the girl's her will is weakening.
Yeah,
What's
she,
the story with of the bows in the hair, Tom? I mean, bows in the hair in every scene.
I have to blame that on hair and makeup.
Well, maybe to show how innocent she was in comparison to the vixen she later
This
became.
later became, yes.
Because she's very wholesome right now. I mean,
Well, now she's decided to give herself to him.
Right.
And while she's doing that, he gets distracted by somebody.
across the way.
There you go.
no.
How often do you look out the back window and see somebody carrying a coffin into the house
Just
next
your
door?
neighbor in a long
well, if you're
black.
Shia LaBeouf looking out the window in Disturbia.
There you go.
Only it's a dead deer.
There you go.
You don't need to invite lawsuits here.
What kind of coffin was that, by the way?
I wish Jonathan Stark was here. He said it was heavy. Of course, Chris Sarandon said he didn't feel like it weighed anything.
But what I've always loved about the opening to this film is that, here it is. It's his moment. He's a young man. This is what you've been building to, and now, oh wait, there's something going on across the way, and it's just much more interesting to him.
The sex, yes. He's a horror movie fan.
I know, and I was like, only a horror movie fan would get distracted from from becoming a man.
And I love how you intercut the reality of them carrying the coffin with, it looks like something from an American International Edgar Allan Poe film with the coffin. It's like, his fantasy world is now becoming his real world. Yeah. His love of the horror film is now becoming a real horror film. He's becoming a star of his own horror movie.
Yes.
And then the moment.
Well, there's an element of comedy that runs all the way through this.
For you, Billy, the film is it's a very comedic role at times of Charlie Brewster.
I was just thinking that when I just stepped out of that last shot, you can see that I was sort of limping, and said that was the indication that I had broken my foot, and I broke it at some point. I can't remember. It was one of the stairway, running down the stairway things.
Yes, and
I thought you were playing the moment.
As well.
No, I asked him. I asked him to speed it up, and he coming down the stairs going too fast. He tripped or whatever, and you broke your foot. And
I
then
broke my
for
foot.
weeks we were shooting you from the waist up, and you do a couple of lines,
or
take a step and fall out of frame. Yeah.
And yet you still brought the film in on schedule.
Yes, we did.
How did you get cast as Charlie Brewster, Billy?
I was in acting school in San Francisco, and I met an agent up there who had been sort of looking around for Jackie Birch, who had cast Mask, and they were looking around for kids, skinny kids, to play the Rusty role, and so she phoned around to friends that she had, and one of them was in San Francisco, and they checked out some local schools up there, and that's how I met.
And here you are.
This is Evil Ed's introduction.
Love that shirt.
Yeah.
Did you keep that shirt, Stephen?
Well, no, I did keep a lot of the costumes, and what was the costume guy's name? He was awesome.
Mort Schwartz.
Right, yeah. He was fabulous. He took me out before principal shooting, and we went to like Fred Siegel's and all these stores, and West, and he let me pick stuff out, within reason, and it was great, and I actually got to pick out most of the stuff that he ended up using, so that was cool.
That's great. It's not often you get to costume your own character.
Yeah. It was great. Yeah, we had a blast.
It was a very Billy Idol kind of haircut you had.
It was.
Billy Idol was so hot at the time.
This woman was in Playboy, right? She was like a centerfold,
yes.
I would think so.
Yeah. I remember I didn't know that until we started doing we turned around on her stuff, and I was thinking, I would have reacted completely different if I had known it was a...
I shot your stuff first, and you didn't know it was her that you were looking at?
You're always sabotaging me, Tom.
Come on.
You weren't actually in that scene with her?
No, I was, but we shot all of my stuff from my setups, and then we came around on her, I think. But yeah. And this is all inside, months after the
We shot the outside.
exterior stuff, yeah.
She was very good.
She was great.
So funny.
Dorothy Fielding?
Yeah. Very funny.
Yeah.
And this is the beginning of it.
This is where it starts to thicken.
Love the music.
It's so unbelievably...
Brad Fidel's music is just phenomenal.
Think about when this is. There's no computer there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, using
There it is.
and
What?
Here's a scream.
It's a great push-in.
Yeah.
The Century
bows.
City?
This was the very first day of shooting, wasn't
Was
it?
it?
It was the
Yeah.
very first scene that we filmed at Oz at Century City.
Yeah, Century City.
This
shopping
was the
center.
commissary? It's
No, it was, it was a
It's
like a Johnny
little
Rocket sort of
novelty
place
type store called Oz. I don't know if it's still in existence,
Yeah.
but
at
oh, yeah.
at Century City.
AHS.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, it's still around.
It's just all.
this
You know,
is
they had very 50s kind of, burger standish things.
Whenever they start to get back together again, Charlie and
I get distracted.
and Amy, he gets distracted.
darn.
There he is.
Oh, parachute. I love those parachute
Da,
pants.
da, 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 da.
It's my friend Chris Hendry is the newscaster.
Right.
Oh, nice.
Now, Stephen, you originally thought you read for this, but thought you wanted a Charlie Brewster role.
I was confused. I mean, I had no idea why Jackie was considering me for such a strange character. I'm so unlike that in real life. But I really wasn't sure, but it all worked out.
What was that?
That was
Chili burger, I
mustard
think.
chili.
Was it real?
No, they spent $250,000 making a fake mustard. But didn't it look real?
Yeah, it's all CGI.
It splattered just like a real chili burger.
Exactly. Oh, there's Jonathan Stark. Love the idea of painting the windows. And that's a little indication of Mr. Cole's possible homoerotic tendencies, the way he's sort of looking at Billy there, Tom. He's peppering this film.
Well,
with
actually, I think he was thinking about killing him.
Same thing.
Same thing.
But what's in the? Oh, what's he hiding in the basement? What's? Yeah.
Now, how much improvisation was done? Well, I know Jonathan does a lot of improv in his performance. He was telling us in the other commentary.
There wasn't any.
Really?
This is the director talking. No. Well, we rehearsed it. I mean, so everything was agreed on and
Yes, you
and
guys
worked
were,
out. We rehearsed.
You had weeks of rehearsal.
Yeah,
which
we
was very,
improv during rehearsals, but we were set. When we started to shoot, we were set.
By the way, that's Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things in the
Oh,
background with
my
Alan
God.
Ormsby, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Beeks.
Yes, I believe that was.
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things.
Oh my
We later did a Hammer horror film in there, but this is that's.
Yeah, Scars of Dracula. I think.
Well,
Such a geek. I apologize for myself.
Brilliant, you can do that.
Is that Plague girl of the Playmate?
The
Playboy?
Lay's chips is over her face, so we can't really.
oh, there he is, Jimmy Stewart, Ragsdale.
My Harlequin sweater that I still have.
You still have that?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I don't imagine you wear it much.
No, I don't.
Oh, I see.
Oh, come on.
Ah, there she is.
Yes. And again, the music in this scene is just
Great.
It's a set piece. It's one of your set pieces, right?
Yeah,
Tom?
the tip of the hat to Brad Fiedel.
And at that time, going with an electronic score, a lot of, it was not unheard of. Harold Faltermeyer was working at the time, and Brad Fiedel. And,
Yes, he was.
George Moroder, but still,
Very,
with
very
a,
good.
With
Very
a,
good.
With a vampire movie, though, you expect like an orchestral classical sound, and here you go with an electronic score. Why?
Well, because I was so in love with Terminator. I mean, I'd never heard that before. I'd heard faltering attempts like Tangerine Dream, it hadn't really worked for me, like in the Friedkin film, with the remake of Wages of Fear, Sorcerer. But I thought Terminator just had a blowout score. And you combine Brad's, and you're right, they were just beginning to do electronic. But you combine, Brad's score with the musical selections, the songs in here, and it's a hell of an album. Even though I don't think they ever put them both together. Now that I think.
No, they never did. I mean, Brad's score to this day is only available as bootleg, and the actual
Really?
soundtrack with the songs has never been put on CD. It's only a cassette and record that is again a bootleg. It's a shame.
Wow.
Anybody out there listening, make it happen. So now you've seen. Now Billy, you've seen the vampire.
And he's seen the first makeup effect in the film, which are those fingers.
Yeah.
For what that's worth.
Chris said he actually helped paint the makeup on his own hand because he was bored while he.
Oh yeah, no, he did. He's an old theater guy, of course, and he's made himself up plenty of times on the stage, and so there was a lot of makeup to do, and so, while his face was being worked on, he was popping the fingers on,
It's exactly what he said, because of the theater training.
Oh, I was paying attention.
This is
20-odd
terrific.
years ago.
This is a great shot, by the way, Tom.
really
This coming off the eaves
Yes.
here and craning over. What was the planning of that like? And
That was then a relatively new rig, and I can't remember what it was called now. And we had it was a remote head, and we operated it down from the ground. And that was the vampire's point of view, obviously. And then there you find Chris.
And so much better than if you actually showed him flying,
Oh, Mom!
Oh,
God!
Stop hunting vampires, Charlie.
That's not good.
And this apple was Chris's idea.
Love this.
yeah,
Love
Chris said that his character had the DNA of a fruit bat.
it. Yes. So he was,
Yeah.
And I love the bite marks.
I can't tell you how many times we shot that apple rolling to a stop trying to get that.
Wow.
Were the fangs, Randy, was it just caps over the teeth, or were they the gums?
Those I believe there were several stages of his makeup, and those were caps. Yeah, as I recall. I actually was in charge of the latter stage of his makeup, and then we sort of built back from that. So I wasn't making, and I didn't do the teeth. Steve's people, Steve Johnson, he and I were sort of trading off on the different tasks on the picture, and Steve did the teeth, and then I did the sculpting of the prosthetics on his face.
He just had a cut from night to day, from mother to the girlfriend, just in a direct cut as a transition, which I thought was sort of interesting at the time. Goes off of what to what, from the mother to the
The
girlfriend.
nagging mother to the nagging girlfriend.
Yeah.
Sneak preview of what's to come, Charlie.
Matte shot.
Another man shot.
That's a
Yeah.
great one.
That
Wow. So I never read. This is a set.
This is it's the
it's the
back lot of Disney.
Wow.
again.
Where that matte shot is, you're looking at an administration building.
It's Art Evans.
Art Evans,
Art.
yay!
Yay, Art.
Terrific character actor.
And again, using humor to almost make what is could be an unbelievable scene work. Tom, humor is always used in this film to make things believable.
Well, the situation is basically funny. I mean, there's something that tickles your funny bone about a horror fan who becomes convinced that a vampire moved in next door, and he's right.
And of course, in classic Hitchcock style, you have him go to the cops, and the cops realize he's crazy.
Yes, yeah.
And so the people who can help him best are no help at all.
Take away one safe space
Yeah.
after another, and throw him back more and more on himself.
And Jonathan said by playing his reaction, Billy Cole's reaction, with humor versus mystery. And then she has the bow in the painting.
Yeah, oh, she does. I didn't notice that. Did she really?
Yeah, she was wearing a bow there.
Wow,
Yeah, maybe that's why you wanted the bow.
can't remember.
That Excelsior, more geek points to be earned here. That Excelsior reminds me of Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
And that is not the first the first reference to that film.
No.
Yeah.
I was very aware of it when I wrote some of the pieces, some of the set pieces.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, that was the way to mix comedy and horror at the time. I mean, that was the.
I think it's a great film.
It sure is. It's so underrated, isn't it?
Abbott
Oh,
and Costello
gosh, yes.
Frankenstein.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh.
What's cool about it is the monsters are never played for laughs. They are
Yeah,
always dead
absolutely.
serious.
No, it's plenty good.
I love
And it
that.
still holds up. I showed it to my 14-year-old daughter, or my now 18-year-old daughter, about 4 years ago. Do the math, and she thought it was great. I
Yeah.
thought, and she just totally dug it.
Do you remember the rehearsals, Billy? Of all, I mean, it's pretty rare to get rehearsals on a film, you guys.
Well, it was because it wasn't a star-studded cast, so everybody wanted to work. And then Chris was a theater-oriented actor, Saarinen.
Well, and he had worked. He was nominated for an Academy Award for this first film, in Dog Day Afternoon.
Yes.
And worked with Sidney Lumet, who was very actor-oriented.
Yes.
And he, when in talking to him, said that working with you on this, although you did not have the rehearsal period that Sidney had, you only had a week of it, but he still said it was very rare to even have a week of rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
There's I just noticed there's a church 2 houses down from
Yes, I know.
Was that ever?
Didn't we change that to a school? Didn't we try to make that a school or something?
Church-looking.
We didn't want anybody saying, why would a vampire move in next door to a church?
There is a swing set.
A swing set, I guess I would say the school.
Trying to take some of the onus off of that. Here
and this
we
was
go.
actually your car, right, Tom?
That was my car, yes. There we go, and into a great scene with Evil Ed.
My house.
Hey, Evil Ed.
Now, this was the last scene that I shot, actually.
Was it really?
Oh, yeah. I was
You'd been through it.
ready to go home. What time is it? No, I'm just... It was...
I just love how you're just so amused by everything that he says to you. It's just so damn funny to you, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it was hard, like, when I mean, I had just kind of gotten out of college, and I was, doing Shakespeare and stuff, and I had to all of a sudden, attempt to believe that that I was going to play in a horror movie, with vampires, and it just was so different, and, but I don't know, it wasn't that hard. I mean, the lines that I had to speak were, were very truthful, and, yeah.
Did you know anything about like vampire lore or anything before?
Nothing at all, and I wasn't a comic book person, and I don't know. I got an Elvira poster and put it in my hotel room when we were filming this.
Really?
Yeah, and that sort of helped.
You were living in a hotel.
Yes, sir.
Huh.
you were a theater. You had gone to NYU, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
And then, what was the name of the play that you did?
I did a musical on Broadway right before this called The Human Comedy.
And you won. And you were nominated for a Tony.
I sure was.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah, and I, in that part was like a little wholesome, regular kind of guy, and then I jump into this. It was quite.
Was this before or after Heaven Help Us?
This was after, yes.
So you were just sort of on a roll right out of college.
I was, yes, very much.
This is your first horror film.
It was, and but when I read it, it wasn't like I was reading a horror movie. I was reading, a well-written script. It's sort of, if it hits you, the writing was so good that it could have been anything, horror, comedy, and it just yeah.
You made great character choices, man, and very brave ones because some of the choices were very big.
Well, and for both of you being young actors at the time, I imagine you were probably seeing a lot of the slasher film scripts coming your way, and this had to just stand out.
I actually hadn't read any horror movies. I mean, this was the first one, and definitely the best. So
yeah, I hadn't
Yeah, and I think after this came out, there were a bunch of others that followed.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the great interaction.
The introduction of Jerry Dandridge.
Fantastic. The vampire's in your house now.
Yes, your mother's invited the vampire in.
Well, and that's the thing. One of the great dynamics in this film is the one-upsmanship between William and Jerry, where it's kind of like, I know the rules, I know how to get one over on you, and he's always having to find a way around it.
And I'm just realizing they're drinking Bloody Marys.
Yeah.
Oh, me devil.
Yeah. No turn on stones.
I guess the Disturbia guys didn't just look at Rear Window either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really, like, with how did you approach your scenes with Chris? It is very much a one-upmanship, a brinksmanship game that you guys start, like, right now and from this scene onward.
Yeah, I think it was, I think that there was a, because I was just sort of learning, my character was just sort of learning all of this stuff,
right.
At the same time that he was, it was obviously old school to him, and he was very familiar with it. I don't know, it was sort of like learn as you go for me. And then the garlic comes up and the steaks and all that stuff later.
It is Jeremy, like you were saying, it is very unique because at the time, most young actors were probably just getting, asked to play the latest, victim in some Friday the 13th, Part 8 or Halloween. I mean, these are real great, meaty roles you guys got. It isn't just, you weren't just meat for the slaughter.
I would say that, for me anyway, this was really kind of before it was okay to do horror movies in a way, because when I would go on meetings or whatever after this, people would say, what have you done? And you say, like, Fright Night, and they say, oh, I don't see those kind of movies.
Yes.
I mean, because it was a real sort of, I won't say stigma, but it was, there was a wall between, doing the scary stuff and doing legit stuff.
For decades, Hollywood has thought horror movies were, comparable to pornography. I think the attitude's loosening up a little bit now.
And then,
it was.
And even then,
they looked down on it forever. People.
But they couldn't differentiate between a film like Fright Night and say Chud, or you know what I mean?
How soon? I mean, there weren't the really hardcore slashers that many before this. There was
Sure.
Oh yeah.
This was '85. This was what was so unique about it. This came out in Jeremy?
Yeah, you had the Burning. You had like
Mother's Day, Bloody Valentine, Happy Birthday to Me.
Yeah, that's true.
Every holiday you could think of, and
This was
so refreshing in '85.
Yeah.
This was a Valentine to the '50s and '60s and '70s horror films in the '80s. That's why this one really stood out in the summer of '85.
And yet, and while it did get favorable reviews for the most part, the critics still, there was a stigma with horror where they felt like they had to be muted in their praise, and you could tell that they were responding to it, but they still, they kind of held back. Yeah, and I think it's terribly unfair.
Who were those critics?
We could start with Roger Ebert.
Yeah, really.
Go on to Jen and Mass in the New York Times.
Well, no, Roger gave it a 3-star review, but he had to, he had to qualify it. He had to find a way to kind of.
This is the big special effects shot.
Oh,
Yes,
the one that nobody really noticed. You said, Tom,
The
but
one in the mirror. There's no reflection in the mirror, people.
Yes.
that's
Randy,
right.
say something.
Yeah.
Well, this was again. This was one of
See the door opening and
Richard
everything?
Edlund's. I don't know what they were looking at if they didn't notice it, but because you certainly shot it from the right place. But no, that was
No, it's too wide. I think it's too wide out. I think it had to be cut in tighter in the door opening.
I don't know.
With the mirror in the background.
Let's
was
see,
it
let's
movie
see tonight
screen or
if
was
people
it?
notice it.
Well, nobody-
Midnight
they
screening at the
they
New
did it
York.
in 2 passes and combined
Yeah, it was
it
2
in a-
passes.
in-
Strangers in the 90s was.
Chris just brought.
That's
so
one of the
much
few
to this.
effects that don't work visually. There's something wrong with it.
I don't know. It just worked for me.
Well,
Just
back
now.
in those days, it's funny, but back in those days, it was really bloody hard to get a good mat with blue screen because it was photochemical and it wasn't zeros and ones. And now anybody can do it. And back then, they had to work very hard. In fact, Richard shot all his matte work on 70 millimeter, and so it would not look as doopy as they tend to do. And it's still, being a photochemical, matte,
But
was a problem. But anyway, I mean, it was slightly apparent, better than most for sure.
Yeah.
yeah,
Big makeup effect coming up.
yes.
That's
Funny.
my real yawn. What do you mean big makeup?
Yeah. Now, this hurt.
Oh, that
Billy,
just looks
did
so
this hurt?
painful.
Were you on wires? Good stuff,
you do
man.
that?
How'd you do that? Billy?
That's
I
an
wasn't
air
supposed to
ram.
go through the doors. I felt so stupid.
It's a stunt double, and that's an air ram.
Oh, really?
So cool.
So
Chris is so cool.
Yeah.
this is one of the coolest vampire. I mean, up until there really weren't any sexy vampires, really. I mean, Barnabas Collins was the closest, maybe, to this tragic, sexy, romantic vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was kind of a swinging.
Are you on like a?
Yeah, I'm on something there. I can't remember.
Oh my God.
Laudlum.
Back then, everybody was on something.
Oh, hello. I hear that.
Yeah.
Aye.
The Chinese pinball.
Yeah, that's right. And Chris was saying that this was actually like when we did that he really was giving you that last chance. Like he didn't want to kill you. He was giving you a chance to say forget it, and he was going to let you live. But you had to ruin it, didn't you?
I was just trying to do the right thing. Sometimes it's not easy. But
And luckily you have a pencil in
Say
your
it,
pocket.
not
Is that a
the
pencil
friend.
in your? Is that a cross in your pocket, or are you just happy to?
don't look at it, Chris. Don't look at it. You can't look at
Oh
it.
my god.
It looks like the same stuff in your hair that they put in Roddy's to make it gray.
Yeah, it probably is drywall dust.
Ouch.
This is a great one.
Oh my god, I love
Ugh, the nail. Ugh.
It's great detail.
Yeah, the nails and all that.
that. Oh my god.
It's so.
Do it.
Don't do it. Don't. And this is a nice foreshadowing. This
Yes.
the frame landing on the snake
Oh,
coming
that's
up with
beautiful.
Amanda's picture. I just love it. Here we go.
A bow.
The bow. Yeah, the bow. The bow.
The bow.
Oh my god.
Okay, now tell us about this, Randy. This is an amazing on-set effect.
Yeah, I still don't know.
Well, yeah, it was for the first shot it was retractable.
But this is the one. The
pencil,
next one
and
blows
then
my
this is-
mind because you see this shot here. You see it on that side,
Yeah.
then here, and there's no cut. He pulls it out, and then it's gone on the other side. So where did
Well,
it go?
It's retractable. You can see what you.
Yeah, but it's
you can
gone.
see. How was it?
They
gone?
took a wire and they
It was
took
on
a wire and they pulled it away. They took a wire.
Is
and
that
they-
what happened?
Yes.
Oh,
It's this filament, monofilament. God, you don't
Yeah.
remember these things, Randy.
That's.
And you did them. What kind of shape were you in at the time?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a makeup
So they pulled
effect.
it out. That is like,
Yes,
Oh,
they used the monofilament.
God.
Well, I was-
and then the cuts, every
And-
cut,
yeah.
different makeup, like Werewolf of
Yes.
London with Henry
Yeah.
Hill, right, Randy?
Every
Yeah.
cut, and it was 4 hours between each one of them too.
Yeah. No,
Did we just shoot that backwards? I mean, did we start?
I can't remember.
or even on the.
That I can't remember. Did we? Is that how we did it?
Because you
Less
wouldn't
makeup and put
undo them each time, right?
Or would you add
Well,
it?
you'd have to, no matter how much you had on either side.
You'd
But
have
were
to
they
clean
on the
them up.
same? Were they on the same day even? You know.
Can't remember.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't know. It's like the same setup.
Because I remember that final stage. I wasn't in the union, so I couldn't apply the makeup, and so
Really?
a union makeup guy had to apply it. It was very very good makeup man, Ken Diaz. But for some reason, he the first day it was a very very long application. It took longer than anyone expected, including Ken. And I'm not sure why. It was just a single piece. We did it as a single. Just the face was not a series of pieces. This is for the final incarnation, and then the ears and the sort of a pointy head in the back. That was kind of a rip off of John Barrymore's Mr. Hyde.
Wow,
and
right.
it should have gone on quicker, but for whatever reason, you roll the dice, and that's what happens.
Now, let me ask you, because this is all. Most of this, there's scars of Dracula.
There's Chris. God
Most
bless
of this
him.
was done, on set, in camera, and you've gone on to be you went Academy Award for each Lord of the Rings, and a lot of CGI pioneering. If you were to do this again today, would you still do it the same way? Would you have shown Chris change in one
Well, sure,
take
that's
with
filmmaking.
CGI?
That's filmmaking. That's not effects. And the thing about at least my theory is an audience, wants to see an actor as a character giving a performance, and keep it consistent. Why would you go why would you go that far when you've got Chris Sarandon there and you can put some rubber or some silicone or some gelatin on his face, right? As long as it's good rubber or silicone or gelatin, which they do, and makeup has come a ways since then. But why throw away what your actor has to offer you just to do something that's high tech just because you can?
Right. I mean,
So and you got a star. You got a star. People are there to see the character, and they're there to see the actor both.
Yes.
And part of the joy of that is watching the actor transform himself. It isn't just. He's not giving the same performance when he's got the rubber on his face, and that's the only difference. He's in a whole different emotional state, and as a result, that's what comes through, and that's what you want to see. So no, I do it the same, maybe better, but a little bit, but the same.
Brilliantly said, Randy. This is where Charlie, in desperation, gets the idea of going to Peter Vincent for help. No one believes him. He's at his wit's end. He's tried his mother, his girlfriend, his friends, the cops, and the vampire's going to kill him. And by God, here's this Sam actor on TV saying, I'm the great vampire killer. And the kid believes him because he's so desperate. And this is a very funny scene also. I mean, I did the hokiest, stuff I could do. Look at the blood.
And he's so like, the stakes backwards.
The stakes backwards, the blood goes long.
He's like,
oh, God,
Poor actor.
How did Roddy take to being squirted in?
I'd rather be doing Shakespeare, Where's this?
This is KMBC in L.A.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, I have heard an amazing, not rumor, but that Roddy took a lot of footage on the set of 16 millimeter, and he willed it all to the Howard Gottlieb archives in Boston University. But his Vampire Hunter kit, which he has right there, is in Boston University.
It's amazing.
So Jonathan Stark's going there in October to see it and find this footage.
And the 16 mil film he took is there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that reason enough to have a new DVD release.
Exactly. Okay, Billy, what's your impressions of working with Roddy? Were you aware of him when you did this? Had you seen Planet of the Apes?
I was a Planet of the Apes night gallery guy from the beginning, and it was an absolute thrill.
Tell us about your relationship and how it developed and what he was like to you.
He was great from the very first day. I was the first rehearsal. It was you kind of had to shut your eyes and say, okay, all right, just keep it together, and this is, you've earned this spot. It's okay, don't freak out too much. But he was so approachable and so accessible, and was having such a good time at it too.
Yeah,
there was none of the,
no condescension.
You're hey, new kid, don't come around.
Right.
He was so into it, and he was a piece of American, film Americana.
Yes, film history, walking.
Yeah.
A living oral history.
And every story, was something about how green was my valley, or Flicka, or it's like God.
And yet he hadn't done. While he had done a lot of science fiction, he hadn't done much in the way of horror. Tom, when you picked him, he was not. It was certainly not Vincent Price.
No, but he'd done Class of '84, which I'd written.
Mm-hmm. Which isn't really horror, though. I mean, I think the only horror films he did was It and the Night Gallery episode.
Boy.
And at this time, in 1984, hadn't really had as wonderful a meaty part as this. This was a really great part.
Oh, he really wanted the part.
Yeah.
He really did. He recognized what he could do.
I love those high tops, Stephen. Those are just...
Oh, yeah. Parachute pants.
Yeah. And that sort of, Wang Chung shirt.
Yeah.
No, I actually had food poisoning when we filmed this.
Oh, yeah. Tell me. You were telling me about
I had really bad clams at the Copper Penny, which I hope is still not there across from NBC. And I mean, I went there like at 1 a.m. I was starving, and then I went home, and I just felt this thing, and I kind of thought, oh, can you guys switch the filming for but I was naive.
Work like that.
Yeah, and they said, no, Steve, we can't. You got to work. So yeah, they gave me some kind of shot in the butt, and then I came on, and it worked out. But I threw up, I think, a few times.
Did you really?
It was exciting, yes. But no, it was. I thought I was gonna die. It was horrible, but thank God the lighting was kind of low and stuff, and.
You do look a little
And I got huge circles under my eyes, so you can. You look fresh and perky.
Yeah, it kind of balanced out.
Yeah, you're looking pretty. You look like you had the clams at the Copper Penny, Billy.
Yeah. Oh, they worked me to death in this picture.
Now,
That was great. I
Amanda's
remember
bows
that.
are gone. I think her bows are finally gone.
Girl can't have her bows forever, Timmy. Gotta let go of them at some point.
What was it? Let's talk about Amanda. Because she unfortunately hasn't been able to be here for the commentary. She's amazing in this. What was your working relationship with Amanda, guys? Steven and Billy?
Well, I actually had done a movie right before this called Fraternity Vacation, and and she
With
played
Amanda.
With Amanda,
No kidding.
She was my girlfriend, and so we went right from Palm Springs to L.A. and back-to-back movies. It was awesome. Yeah, she was great. She took me around. Palm Springs in her. I think she had like a green MG at the time, and yeah, it was she's great.
So at what point did you realize, oh my God, I'm doing another movie with Amanda? Like,
Yeah, I didn't really have too much time to think about it, you know. I mean, it's just like I was working and I was happy, and yeah, and she's great. She I think came from the Neighborhood Playhouse, so she's a serious actress, and so it was awesome. I mean, I loved all the scenes that I did with her in both films.
now, because Jonathan said that he had to wait 6 months between when he auditioned and got the part. How long was it between when you got the part, you knew, and you started filming?
No time at all. I mean, I came in from Palm Springs while I was working on the other thing, and I don't know. I got it like this, you know.
Well,
Was anybody else ever up for this part, Tom?
God, I can't.
I doubt it.
I don't think so. Not serious. There's no serious competition to you, as I remember. No.
Just some guy named Tom Hanks.
What about that head in the background? What
I
is
love
that?
that.
Kinski,
I wish I had
Nosferatu.
that stuff.
I love that bit with Roddy putting on the lifts. Which
Yeah, yeah.
which is great.
Yes, getting ready. It's like the wizard and the wizard. Now, this is a wonderful scene, Steven. You remember this?
Think so.
Familiar. Was that all just set dressing, or was there anything of import on that? There was something. Oh, the Saturn Award is in this. Isn't that in this scene?
Is it?
Yeah, you had
Yeah,
all kinds
someone
of
was-
relics up there that were.
Boy,
Yeah,
I
someone
do.
was-
I do remember that John DeCure Sr. and Jr. taught me that the more depth you had in a set in different rooms, the more production value you had. So the kitchen is through an archway, and his bedroom is through an archway. So it just isn't four walls. It's designed.
Oh,
to
that's
keep
his.
you-
That's what it is. That's his mask from Planet of the Apes.
Where?
Way.
It's his life mask that they did for the rubber stuff. You can't.
Did he
it was in
bring
the
it in?
shot before that.
Did
It's a
Roddy
white
bring it in out of
plastic-
his collection?
Oh, that's wow.
I can't remember. I just remember seeing it there and him saying it. Maybe, I don't know.
And still, with all that depth, they still make it look like a nice, squalid little Hollywood apartment, which is really good.
Yeah.
It's a really depressing little place.
It
It's
is.
great.
With his, I like though. There's a nod. There's Bela Lugosi on the wall.
Yeah.
There's Klaus Kinski and Nosferatu. We had Christopher Lee. There's always like this is what I love is this is a vampire film that takes place in a culture that is aware of vampire films,
Yeah.
which I thought was really cool.
That's real depth there in the mirror.
Oh yeah, look at that. You see close.
No, the DeCures knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Boy, did they ever! Boy, did they ever! Great production designer.
Both of them. Yeah.
Yes, John Jr. and Sr.
Now at this point, you guys don't believe Charlie. You're just trying to shut him up, right, Steven?
Oh yeah, I mean, my character.
Oh, that's I'm sorry. That's the Count Dracula Society Award, Billy. That's what you were probably talking about, and that later became the Saturns.
Oh, yes, right.
Dr. Donald Reed.
Dr. Donald
Reed. And ironically, there he is holding it, and then this went on to win the Saturn Award for
Yes,
Best
it did.
Screenplay.
I have that. I have the award at
Oh
home.
my God.
Isn't that interesting?
That's a great little scene.
That is a good scene.
I want to say something about John DeCure Sr. and Jr., the production designers. You know, look at this house. Look at the stairway they're going to come on. Look at the window that's up there. This was a set-bound movie, except for a few exteriors on the back lot of Disney, and I think one or two around town, around L.A. Otherwise, it's all in a set. The production value is in the production design, which you're looking at right now that these guys did. And they also set it up and worked in conjunction with Richard Edlund and people like Randy Cook for the effect shots. And this is all done, in drawings, beforehand. And they just come off of Ghostbusters, and and they really knew everything, and so did Richard Edlund, because it all worked together on that picture. So I got, through the head of production at Columbia, Shel Schrager, I got a team that for my first movie, I got a team, a first flight.
And now, there's John Carradine. And
Yes.
that's the painting that used to be at Universal Studios before the fire. That's a painting of him from, I think, House of Dracula.
Oh wow!
You even got him in there too. It's like I'm not used to. I'm used to seeing this on a smaller TV. So seeing it bigger again, movies made to be seen on big screens, folks.
Well, this is shot spherical.
This was anamorphic.
This is anamorphic.
Yeah,
That's Jan Kieser. It was just beautifully shot.
Yeah.
I'm getting the fruit.
Such a great. But getting back to the, talking about how this was coming on the heels of Ghostbusters, Randy, on that film, it seems like that might have been like all the headaches were experienced on that one, and you get to this movie, and you guys were kind of a well-oiled machine by that point.
Well, I mean, Richard, I joined his company, pretty much at the beginning, but he brought a lot of his pals from ILM down, a lot of people who already had a working methodology, working aesthetic. And I don't know. I mean, any film has a new has new sets of problems. I think, and I had just gotten out of doing a lot of low budget pictures and where we had to be resourceful. But I really think unless you're making sausages or something, you got every picture's got its own new set of horrors and nightmares, and you always, most of us, I think everybody in this room, would agree that you don't want to just do what you did before and knew how you did it. You want to do something new and better than anybody's ever seen before, and that's the only way you can do something that's really great, And you often don't get there, but you always try.
This is one of the only scene in the film we were coming where all of you guys are in one scene together. Mm-hmm. The three, Jonathan, and this is a really wonderful played out, directed block scene tone.
Thank you. I always wish that I'd kept the props like the cigarette case. And it was brilliant of Roddy to keep the vampire killing.
And Stephen, you have your fangs, right?
I still do, yes.
Do you really?
Yes.
Do you ever put them in and look in the mirror and pretend you're Evil Ed?
I do not. No.
No.
Isn't Jonathan wonderful in this? I really like it.
Fucking great.
A bit of a.
And what an entrance!
Norman Bates.
Look at that window.
Oh, you gave Chris so many grand entrances.
Well, John DeCure also. Look at the production design. And that window's been set up because he's going to come through it and destroy it at some point in the climax.
That's the thing. Every single element pays off.
Every one of them does.
Yeah,
that's right.
And that is that's something that screenwriter, when you're writing a screenplay, I think we just don't see that kind of care in the craft as much as we did back then.
You think the craft is dying? You think?
I don't know if it's dying so much, but I think that people just they don't lavish the amount of attention that they should on paying things off, on just constantly.
Love that, Stephen.
Yeah. No, but once again here, you could. I don't think there's a wasted move in this movie.
Well, but it's not only the production design goes to set dressing. And set dressing. I mean, look at how
Oh, she's got the bow back, Billy. She's got the bow back.
Mm-hmm.
Not for long.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
and now the fact that Amy reminds him of someone, of this this love that centuries ago, and that was a something that Christopher that Chris suggested.
He was looking for colors in the character, for things that were likable along with the darkness, and and as he never dies, the woman he loved that started it all, keeps being reincarnated and breaks his heart every time.
Mm. And up until this time, other than Dan Curtis's Dark Shadows was really the first time where the vampire was played as a tragic character. I mean, Christopher Lee and Bela Lugosi never played him as anything but sort of an evil animal, carnal animal. And this was the first time really that you were seeing a tragic, romantic, sympathetic vampire. Mm-hmm. And what Evil Ed later becomes, it's very unique for its era of slice and dice and horror movies. Now, what's the significance of that prop? Just that I always wanted.
Well, it's phallic. It's phallic, but I also remember Jan Kieser, the cinematographer, objecting because it was bone white. Cinematographers hate, white, hard, harsh white.
You and Amy are just too cute, Stephen. You're just like, it's just adorable.
We were.
I love how he's playing along. Somehow well, he could have had a V8.
Look at him.
That's the best.
You can bounce close-ups off everybody because everybody's working, everybody's reacting.
But this must have been a nightmare in terms of eye line with all these characters in so many different spots.
Thank God for a great camera operator who knows that kind of stuff and remembers. Because yes, it's complicated when you get 5 or 6 characters going.
With the eye line.
Yeah.
And now, Billy, this is where you're, again, you say, Tom, you take away the safe place.
Spoiled again. Yeah. Okay. All right. Bring it.
Up, Charlie. Oh, Charlie.
Why do I try? Why do I bother?
This is so impolite to accuse people of being a vampire,
Yeah.
And again, I love the film, but this is 2 years prior to Lost Boys, and they just did all these scenes over again. The dinner where Corey Haim invites the vampire over.
Dick Donner was going to do Lost Boys, and then he saw this and he decided not to do it.
Now you said something interesting earlier. You said Richard Franklin was
the first director on Lost Boys, and he and Dick Donner did not get along or disagreed about something that Richard wanted rewritten. And Richard left it, and Dick Donner gave it to Joel Schumacher, thereby starting Joel's career.
That's right. That's right. Oh, look at that look. Look at that look.
Wow.
You're pissed off, Charlie. How long was it to film this one scene? With that curiosity?
Oh God, I can't remember. It's got to be at least a full day.
Yes.
There's a lot of coverage in this.
This is a great scene. I love this scene. This is my favorite.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Oh dear.
Now that just confirms. So Billy's not a vampire because his reflection is there. Because I was like, what the hell is he? He's a transitional vampire.
He hasn't transitioned yet.
Okay, so
He's hoping for full membership. He's Renfro.
He still has his V card, right?
He's Renfro, yes.
Vampire card. Uh-oh.
Oh, yes.
Let's go.
Look how tall John Stark is. Now, what's that painting, Tom? The Renaissance painting.
My eye just missed it.
It's like little, it's so funny. And now Peter really has to go. He's done. He's got his money for his rent. Nothing else will keep him there at this point.
Mm-hmm. Don't you love his car? I mean, they found that in the parking lot, and it was so wonderful. Was it Dodge Dart? What is it?
Oh, my God.
Is it an Edsel or something?
No, it's not an Edsel, but it's some other kind of car that was even outmoded then. I can't remember what it was. It was a funny car then.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is funny how when a film is of this vintage, you don't know what was dated in it sometimes.
Yes.
Like that.
Right.
But we chose that car because it was so perfect for Peter Vincent.
Yeah.
Oh, he just stepped on.
That's
And
right.
he realizes now that Peter Vincent
He's wearing gray boots.
Now this whole sequence is just mad. Now, Stephen, you told me in the past this was not a set. Where was this also?
Downtown.
Lovely downtown Los Angeles.
They were throwing stuff at us.
Oh,
from
it
the
was.
windows.
It was an adventure.
And again, it's interesting to me because sort of the dynamic between these three characters, Steve, is very much similar to like Natalie Wood, James Dean, and Sal Mineo in Rebel Without a Cause. And you're like Plato, who you're always the third wheel. And I always felt there was a lot of sort of sadness and loneliness and pain behind the sort of court jester that you were.
Yeah, it was a really rough 3 months of filming. I felt very alienated. But no, it was...
Evil Ed's alienated.
Yes, I'm kind of kidding, but it was... yeah, it's just, like I said, it was written so well that it wasn't that hard.
Well, but I think that's great about Evil Ed is that we continually see how things don't land on him. It doesn't seem to really impact him at all. It is. He's just not showing it to us. And I think that's why the moment that is coming up
It's so
powerful because we aren't expecting it. We aren't expecting that this guy actually is vulnerable.
Well,
I think it's a great delay. It's a great delayed reveal.
And I do owe it to Tom. I mean, it's just the words that I'm saying. It's.
You're acting. You're giving him life.
But again, it's like the idea that the clown, you're always making the jokes. You're the clown, but there's really the pain behind. The clown is actually lonely. And I think you just bring that out in Evil Ed. It's like in these coming up scenes. It was such a surprise when I saw this for the first time that you're going to see Evil Ed have this depth to his character.
It's that great subjective camera, but then we're behind him. It seems.
Yes. Well, what you're hearing him fly off of the fire escape and land, and the camera comes down and it's over his shoulder, and he looks back at Charlie and Amanda and walks after Evil Ed. And now it begins.
Yeah. There's no turning back, Evil Ed. You remember you said there was like people throwing things at you?
It's quite a scene down there. I think it probably still is, but it kind of added to the whole sort of.
Yeah, these are real alleys, and there were windows up above us, and people were
Trying to sleep.
Or this is in the middle of the night, and they wanted to turn off the lights and go to bed.
It really is scary down there. I mean, just in real life, downtown LA is a frightening place. So
it hasn't changed.
It's just those areas have moved around a bit.
And again, I love how Chris keeps his hands in his pockets. He's so deliberate. He's running, but Dandridge always catches up with him.
But again, here's where this film does something that we don't expect. In every other film that we've been seeing at this time, this is a death. This is a kill scene, and we're expecting. Oh, well, here's where he gets dispatched, and now, what is it? What happened to Evil Ed? No, there's actually something more to this.
And your heart's going out to Evil Ed. You feel his fear.
Yeah, finally, and
he's trapped. He's boxed in. I mean, and again, at the time seeing this movie, I related to Evil Ed. I felt like the trying to be funny to make everyone laugh, but really wishing I could be part of the in crowd, so to speak, like the way Evil sort of wishes he could be part of Amy and Charlie, but never really can. And the only place to go is the world of darkness, the vampires.
It was a tough choice.
Remember doing this scene?
Yeah. It was kind of hard, but more so that it was like 2:00 in the morning and I was tired.
Right.
But it was
This is it, the choice. Take my hand.
Mm-hmm.
How was Chris in the scene with you? Like, did you done a lot of rehearsal?
Oh, no, not this scene particularly, but like him and Roddy and Billy, everybody in it was just such a pro that it was. Yeah, it was a breeze.
And then of course, the boy who cried wolf. Now when we finally hear him scream, we think it's funny, isn't it? But it's real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Aqua and turquoise was a big color in this film.
Apparently so.
The louder, the
I
better.
remember that thing that they had the effect where that fuse box blew.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was going to blow, and it was a big spark, and I thought I got
Wow.
kind of singed from it.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because they said there's going to be a flash, and I thought, okay, there'll be a guy with a flashlight over there or something. This is another downtown thing. We used to have these things called discos.
Welcome to the.
Tell us about the disco.
Oh, they're gone now. but
Right.
In the day.
Well, we're all laughing, but now you have a club scene in downtown. On Vine and Hollywood Boulevard. It's driven by clubs. I wonder if in 5 or 10 years if they'll be as laughing about that like we were about the discos.
Right. Now they have real vampire clubs.
Yeah.
They do.
They do.
Fetish clubs where people go as either vampires or biters or bitten. What is it, Jeremy?
And who is that,
Oh,
Tom?
you're asking me.
That is Stuart Stern.
Speaking of Rebel Without a Cause, that's the guy who wrote
That's the guy who
Rebel
wrote it.
Without a Cause.
No
I know that was on your
way.
mind, Tom.
Well, he's probably one of the last living people who knew Jimmy Dean. I mean, think about that, the stories that he can tell.
Yeah.
Also, he was best man at Paul Newman and Joan Woodward's wedding.
Huh.
And he was a mentor of yours.
Yes, he was
So
a
there
mentor
he
of
is,
mine.
the chef, the guy who wrote Rebel Without a Cause.
Wow.
Came down and did for fun, did a favor.
All right, and here we are.
I think there's a vampire guy.
Land Shark,
Right.
Candy Graham. There's Bela, and there's John. It's like, hello.
What? Oh.
Whoops.
Oh.
I hate it when
Okay,
that
now
happens.
Steven,
shit.
fess up. You and Roddy. Roddy has always said that he hurt my neck. So what's going on? You guys had a little cat fight.
Well,
What happened?
it got a little rough, and no, when I was jumping on him in the scene, here on film, it just. He's kind of fragile, and he went to Tom and requested that I do it not so roughly, and
But I thought you were being a method actor.
yeah.
Doing it for real.
But Tom tamed us all, and it worked out.
Okay.
That's an iconic shot there. That's
This is so
That is, I'm
crazy.
wearing the T-shirt right now.
yeah.
Of
Look at that.
Exactly
So
that.
you have those fangs.
There's
okay?
an image.
So so Randy, talk about his makeup.
It was. I thought I hadn't seen the Hammer films. And he does get branded in the script. I remember thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great when he finally dies to have the brand go away? And then years later, I saw that's in every damn Hammer film that Chris Lee ever made, practically.
But
It's a rubber piece, sculpted rubber piece, so you could actually have a bit of a recess in the forehead, for where the cross hit him.
But you actually see the flesh burn and stretch, which I mean.
Yeah, well, they have what's called A and B smoke, which is we put a little of that in there, and since there was rubber between that and Evil Ed's or Steven's skin, the theory was it wouldn't go through and burn him.
They don't use it anymore, do they?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Did it burn you? You still have that little bit of that residue on your forehead, I see, Steven.
It was
Never really
just,
came off, did it?
Yeah.
Well, I've got a nice scar on my neck from where I was burned operating the bat.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Oh, my
yeah. Actually, the scar is from the removal of the skin cancer that grew where I got splashed with A and B smoke.
No
Oh,
kidding.
no.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I got burned pretty bad, and it was like, I think for some reason we shot till like 3 a.m. I mean, it was the middle of the night. We had a really long shoot doing
Wow.
that, and with that bat, and everybody was just sort of no one ran to get anything. No one really knew what to do. We were all just sort of frozen. I was like, I can't go on. My skin's burning. And I'm just, like that shot, except.
And now here we're coming into the musical number.
Yeah, this is like yes.
The club.
This is it becomes Flashdance for a little bit,
Yes.
which is this is just an amazing set
Oh,
piece.
this is my favorite.
It's a
Her transformations were so cool.
And I love the mirror, how he goes behind the mirror.
Yes. And then he
And
appears.
it's just like, this is one of the sexiest scenes in a horror film. Wouldn't you say, Jeremy? Ever?
It's terrific, and it's very unexpected. Remember when you see this, you weren't thinking all of a sudden a musical number is going to break out and there's going to be this little seduction, this little dance. And who choreographed this?
Chris knows a woman, Gruskin.
Graciela Danielle?
No. He told you in the interview.
right.
Oh, yes,
he
that's
gave
right.
you.
That's right. Yes.
And I can't remember her name.
And we have two full songs here. We have the Evelyn Champagne King song, right? And then Come to Me, right?
Yes. Come to Me is the one I remember.
Yeah, because we have the fast number, and then it's becomes.
And this is where she does. I changed her on the cuts. I changed her hair and I changed her blouse from cotton to silk. I think there were 3 or 4.
And the bow's gonna go.
Yes, and we're trying. It gets. She's sexual. She becomes more and more sexual.
And Charlie's just missing this whole thing. He's just out here on the phone. You're missing his entire. He's taking your girl, dude.
Jeez, that's not right.
You know.
This is all choreographed.
And had the song that was eventually used in the scene written at this point, or were they actually moving? Was it the song there, or was it something added later?
I can't remember. We had music.
No, it was
They turned-
quiet. No, it was silent.
No, we turned the music off for the number,
Yeah.
but didn't we have music when we were choreographing it? I thought.
I don't remember.
I don't think we had the song until.
I'm watching. I'm just
Now
thinking,
see, she's starting to
Yeah,
change.
the
hair
hair
starting
is-
to change.
yeah, and the ring and the. It's always take my hand. He just, and it's echoing what he just did with Evil Ed. Take my hand, be one of me. Now I'm just watching. I'm thinking, if Cronenberg can do Fly the Opera, why not Fright Night the musical?
I don't know. I've been asked twice, actually.
I mean, this could actually be, if they could do Flashdance as a play, and Footloose and all that, and then Legally Blonde, why not turn this into a Broadway musical, Tom?
You could so easily do it. It's there in the script already.
I'm already thinking of, oh, Brewster, you're so cool. That could be, like, oh, Nick, it's like...
We're laughing, but it really is perfect.
Oh, there's her hair's changed.
If you can do John Waters, you can sure as hell do Fright Night.
Yeah,
Well, you can do Carrie. You can sure.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to be thinking of songs now for the next couple of weeks.
There you
go. Now, Randy, when we saw Evil Ed before, another thing that struck me, up until this moment, when I saw vampire movies, I had never seen, you saw the gums. I mean, that shot specifically, you could see into Evil Ed's mouth and see the gums and the teeth, and like, what were they? Was it a gum piece?
It was
fake gums?
it was dental acrylic. I think that was one of Steve's. Steve
But it was
Johnson's.
also the gums.
But yeah,
too,
no,
right?
dental acrylic though. Dental acrylic comes in gum color and tooth color, and many variations thereof. In fact, the gum color has little threads that simulate veins and texture, or blood vessels. So it looks pretty authentic. And the standard dental technology, but it's there he isn't.
The mirror effect work.
But no, I mean it's.
Do you remember, Stephen, them fitting over your gums?
Yeah, well, yeah, I actually went to an orthodontist before we started filming and got fitted, I guess, just like people that get dentures get fitted, and except these had like fangs growing out of them, and
Were you
they fit
were
perfectly.
you able to speak with them? Did they have to do ADR, your dialogue?
I spoke with them, and I think Tom decided that it was clear enough to put in.
Wow.
Yes, thank you, Edith Warman Skinner.
Chris.
No, there's always that risk with those teeth of the Sylvester effect, But, but no, he spoke through it. I believe.
The bounces. I love this. It's just
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh no.
Look at
Now, were those were the contexts? Those are the painted
Right.
contexts.
Yes.
And those in those days, scleral contacts were made out of an acrylic. They were not
Flexible.
They weren't flexible, no.
No, they weren't.
No fun to wear.
Yeah.
Chris said he could only stand them for a half hour, maybe 40 minutes.
Well, he was probably pushing his luck there, but he's a trooper.
You couldn't see a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe now you might have done that in a CGI, right? Those
Well,
lines.
depending upon how glowy you want them to get, but again, you can get fantastic soft contact lenses with photographic detail, photographic transfers onto them. That's
Really?
That's very standard. And getting the right artists and the right technicians to collaborate, you can get something that looks, quite good. But
Now, that's the second time, Tom. I love it where you do the three cut in that James Whale does, like in in Frankenstein when he turns around for the first time in the movie. Where it's like wide, medium, close. You did it with his hand. You did it, and I love that.
Yeah.
I just love that's the first time Charlie's seen Evil Ed as a vampire, and that's just like kind of an added bonus of what? When did that happen?
But now it's like now you got your own family. You're like fuck you, Charlie. I got Amy. I'm wanted. Fuck you.
Here's a terrific acting scene between Charlie and Vincent, Peter Vincent. This is it's almost all one shot. As I
Yeah,
remember.
Billy, this is like done in classical filmmaking, like you were talking about, Tom, where it's like it's pretty much
We blocked
wide
it.
shot,
Blocked
you know,
it to play in one.
like a scene from a play.
I mean, there's not a cut in here, is there?
Let's see. Now that you're in,
I think there is when he goes to sit.
Well, right now you got it. Okay, so it's all in one. It's playing Proscenium Arch. Then I have you walk over in the tighter close-up.
Did you shoot all these scenes inside Roddy's apartment in like the same time? Of course.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you had different within one day. Unlike a play where you can evolve your emotions, you had to play different.
But this is a very, very strong acting scene, and they have to do it within one take because you have no cuts here so far. So I don't know how long it was, 2, 3, 4 pages, but you put this scene on the stage.
Yeah.
Well, they were rehearsed at this point, so
Yes.
it probably was fairly simple. It's preferable almost to do it that way, wasn't it, Billy?
Yeah,
Maybe?
yeah. It was certainly what I was used to more.
You had done theater, a lot of theater at this point.
Yeah.
Well, going from, and you too, Stephen, you had done a lot of theater. How would you compare? In theater, you get to do almost a character in real time and evolve it. Was it difficult, especially with you going from being vampire, Evil Ed to just Ed? Was it difficult shooting emotionally out of sequence?
No cut. There still isn't a cut. Now I start moving in for a close-up. I'm sorry, Stephen.
Yeah, no, logistically it's a little tricky, but, that's why they call it acting.
Yeah. And Tom would set the mood and where you are in that place.
Yeah, all the ingredients just fit together, so it really wasn't that tough.
The scenes where we would go to the house, like those ones we went to the house in a group, we would shoot the exterior of the stuff where we're all waiting out there
All one take.
in December. And then the inside of the house was in like late January or February.
So
It
you
was-
had to consider.
You had to and this is before they used the video replay, so we had to kind of really remember what we did.
And that was one take for the record. Now, do you remember, Billy, how many times you did that scene? Or
I only did one take, Tim.
No.
Now, Roddy and I only needed one take for any of us.
A oneer.
Yeah,
Well,
Can I walk
one
off
take,
and go into my
Billy.
trailer?
some of the B players, they would.
Oh, shit.
I just saved you an afternoon.
We kissed and made up.
So now,
I have to say, I'm getting mildly aroused now. Chris.
Chris is just, and I never realized, it just hit me. Yes, Chris Sarandon and Susan Sarandon both played iconic 80s vampires. Of course, she in The Hunger. Well, she wasn't a vampire in The Hunger.
No. Not technically. Yeah, not technically.
But she got to have a little role in The Hay with Catherine Deneuve.
Well, yeah, there's that.
And then,
Who needs to be vampire?
Chris Sarandon gets to have a role in The Hay with Billy Cole, maybe.
Well,
We don't know for sure.
that's up for debate, but it certainly seems thematically in keeping with what's going on here.
Randy.
But he's very pansexual, Jerry. I mean, he's kind of. And I think that and it's just something you can read into the film is that's something that seems to, for whatever reason, be disturbing Charlie. There's something, this unknown thing out there, that sexually is intimidating to him.
Very well.
But none of these characters, Charlie, Amy, and Ed, have not really experienced the type of sexuality that Jerry can bring to them.
Absolutely not. You're right, of course.
It's
Yes.
very interesting. And in this scene, like we were saying in the commentary, this is the metaphor for the penetration and,
Oh, sure. The blood of the broken hymen, yes.
and you had to have, you had pipes, right? Pumping the blood because he couldn't
Plastic.
hold it in his mouth.
That's
So
right.
and
Plastic tubes.
had to nail those 3 blood drips that are coming up.
Well,
Well, we're certainly jumping back and forth from the erotic to the mundanely practical.
But that's how we like to do it.
You really broke the mood there with that. So was it pumping blood out of tubes?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Obviously, you haven't had
Penetration of the hymen. From the penetration of the hymen to pump. I was trying to,
and silly me. I thought it was a segue.
There it is.
But here it is. The drips of blood here, Tom, is just so fucking great.
And she's like almost in the throes of ecstasy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I mean, that's a very erotic shot.
Yeah. And
That's
the
a slow
light-
dissolve through.
And then the third drip of blood. One for Charlie, one for Ed, and one for Amy. And now it's like almost like the end of Act 2, right?
Oh yeah, now you're in.
Fade.
Yeah, that was your act 2 end.
Because I noticed you only have 2 fades in this film, and it's almost like the end of each act.
Okay.
Almost
know?
like we're watching a play.
Yes.
Question for the editor, for Kent Beta. I don't remember. Kent might.
Ooh. Oh, the wide shots of the house. Was that a model or was that the actual?
That's the real house.
So it really was built this,
There are no models at all, were there?
I
No,
think there was.
except for the Playboy.
there were.
model.
Except for
Jeez. Sorry.
she's a real model.
Go back to what I do. Yay! Peter's finally ready to rise to the occasion and be the vampire hunter that he is, or that Charlie thinks he is. I want one of those vampire hunter kits.
Oh boy.
These things are very handy.
Especially in Hollywood with all the blood suckers.
Yeah, I remember.
Go ahead.
Now his vampire hunter outfit was very Sherlock Holmes.
Well, that's the outfit, I think.
Yeah.
Victorian.
He's really doing the Cowardly Lion. That's his image from The Wizard of Oz. Roddy's.
So who's the Tin Man? Would that make you Dorothy, Billy? An evil Ed's
Interesting.
Toto.
And it's so funny here. He's trying to get his nerve up. Whoop! Why don't we go around the back and sneak in?
Come back tomorrow.
Well, this is again. Now you mentioned this earlier, and now we're getting into Abbott and Costello
Yes,
meet
now we are.
Frankenstein
Yes, we
territory.
are.
You know, with
Welcome to Fright Night.
for real.
For real. There's just a lot of great lines in here. Great one-liners.
Yeah. Many coming up. A lot of fog machines were used in this film, huh, Tom?
Pardon me?
A lot of fog machines.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Every set, every interior is fogged. Is that
Yeah,
diffusion?
we just went from December to January there.
Really?
End of January, yeah.
I love how all the point of view shots that they're just everything they do is under observation from Billy and Jerry. Billy and Jerry, such interesting names for vampires. Billy and Jerry.
Yeah, the Billy and Jerry show.
Couldn't have been more mundane, Tom.
That was the idea. That was the fun of it. Juxtaposing the mundane against the supernatural.
Yeah. Up, there he is.
And
Ah,
there's the-
great.
That's great.
Okay, was that wax on the banister?
That's wax in the banister.
That is such a great fucking little image. Here we go.
Welcome to Fright Night.
Night. All right, everybody, ready? Wait for it. Wait for it.
Boom.
For real.
Great timing.
Draws that out.
It's just he does it.
All you have to do is get by me.
Taunting. It's just fantastic.
Back spawn of Satan.
And they're just like laugh at me. When does a vampire ever
you
laugh
have
like
to have
that?
faith for that to work, Mr. Vincent.
And I'm trying to remember if there had been a vampire film up to that point that had that much fun with and the convention's not working. With someone actually pulling across a vampire and
Fearless Vampire Killers, the Polanski film, a little bit where they were Jewish, so this cross didn't work.
that's
but
correct, yeah.
not like.
The humor
But there's
didn't
nothing
work.
serious about Fearless Vampire Killers. That was just a parody across the board.
It was a total goof.
Yeah, and that, for me, not a very effective film.
No,
No offense, Mr. Polanski. I love Rosemary's Baby. But,
Yeah.
and I love this, the idea that also the concept that you have to have the faith behind the crucifix for it to work. That had never been done. To my knowledge.
Is it, well,
Oh, there's
Whoop.
Billy. Oh,
One take.
and that was your last take. of the film,
Okay,
if I'm not-
that was my last
there's
shot.
your homoerotic image.
Yeah, there.
There that Chris is playing it.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Like the vampire next door, you know?
Just runs out of the house.
The cowardly lion. And I love here you're setting up the chandelier for the. Now this is just okay.
Well, you're coming into another really often quoted line from Evil Ed. Your dinner's in the oven. Would you like to do it?
Yeah, please
do it, please.
It's
Oh, Charlie.
Oh man.
Let him go do it.
okay.
Come on.
Okay. Oh shit. Apparently, what's the line? Okay. What's this?
She working the night shift.
Oh yes, apparently. Oh.
Your mother's working the night.
Go ahead, Stephen.
She left a note.
Say it.
But wait. She left a note.
Yeah, there you go. She left a note. Oh, what a... Dinner's in the oven. and I have no idea why I did it with a southern accent, but it just, I don't know, for some reason, it just seemed like kind of Tennessee Williams moment. Yeah, so it just...
But you were just giving your all. You were just like throwing yourself here into
I
this,
hate
my
to,
friend.
oh boy, I don't like to give secrets away, but yeah, I had this anger in me that really worked because of certain things.
Right, he told on you.
But like I said, we made up in the end, so it all
That's
worked
good.
out.
Ronnie.
And oh yeah, I tried to pet this dog, and the wrangler really yelled at me. Apparently they bite. But
That was an animatronic, so.
No, not that one.
this is just.
Where did that red wig come from? Did I just grab the Raggedy Ann wig at the last
I think
minute?
you
What was
did.
that?
I think
Yeah.
you did.
Because that was such a choice.
And
That was a former dog.
Now this,
now, yeah.
Now, and I don't think you can find any part of that that's tronic. The anima is provided by wires, and we were pulling.
was there a
it
rivet in the
So
in the
real.
floor, or was it just no?
No, on that, no. We had one of us was pulling the body and trying and sometimes even succeeding to keep the keep the feet.
going.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now I
Talk
love how
about this.
Roddy's playing the sadness of this scene, making the effects work. Now talk about the eyeball. What you're telling me, Randy.
Oh yeah. Well, this is all kinds of things are being. Stops
that
are
you,
being pulled out.
Stephen?
Yes.
That's
yes.
Stephen.
Much of that's you.
Much of it is Stephen, and
Well, part half.
And you have like a
A
mask.
third.
on?
yeah,
Yeah, it was
It's
a
a big-
helmet kind of thing with wires coming out of the back.
and a one Stephen arm and one non-Stephen arm.
Wow.
I believe. Yeah.
Yes,
as I
yes.
recall.
That's right.
And did you have a choice to have a stunt person or to do? You chose to do. You know?
I wasn't given a choice at the time, no. I don't recall. But
dear.
It was no problem.
The dog had a stunt double.
Oh, dear.
No, I love that. That's the fake hand goes
That's the
down,
fake hand,
and
here's
the
the
real
real
hand
hand
comes
comes
out.
out.
Great
Yeah.
transition.
Wonderful.
And the transition, which was designed by Steve Johnson, was for at the end. This thing, we were putting that's a fake eye, and then we go to the real Evil Ed, or the real Stephen Jeffries eye, and we were applying this very hurriedly on the set. And Steve was putting some Methicil into the fake eye, and from a little unlabeled bottle, and then putting it in, starting to put it in his teeth. And I noticed that the eye was getting cloudy, and I realized, oh no, this isn't Methicil, which is inert. It's glue, you know, for prosthetics, and because it was turning cloudy, and just then Steve was pouring a big dollop into Steve Jeffries' mouth, and he, what is this? And Steve Johnson says, "Hey, don't worry about it. That's stuff they make donuts out of." And Steve says,
It's not like any donuts I've ever had.
"Well, we'll just clean it out. It's all right. It's okay. It's fine." Did I say Steve Johnson? I mean somebody. Sean?
Yeah,
Dope.
it tasted bad, but I was so numb at that point that
Yeah.
it kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you got something sticking out of your heart.
Oh, yeah. That'll do it. Everything.
How soon? How in a shooting schedule? What point was that shot? Was that in towards the end? Was it in the middle?
It was in post production after the principal photography was done.
Really?
Wasn't it?
I think
Was it
so.
in-
Yes.
Yeah, it was like it was a week, like a day or two after they stopped. Yeah, took forever.
And again, a scene that played for the sadness of it, Tom, the death of Evil Ed. Not a
Oh
fun,
no,
cool.
it's heartbreaking. Well, because you loved him. It was written that way. You know?
And I was like, thank God he's out of the picture. No more twisted necks, no more overacting, except for me.
Lovely moment, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I love the way you sort of twitch.
Yeah.
Ugh. So sad. And that's, you said, Tom, what finally gets Roddy's character to really say,
Oh,
okay,
yeah. Oh,
no
yeah.
more fun and games. Time
Right.
to really
Right. Well,
kick some vampire ass.
yeah, it's nice voice.
I just, and I just wanted, before we move on, I just want to say, like, to have a transformation at that point after, after American Werewolf and The Howling, that left such an impression. I think that's just, you guys did such fantastic work on that.
Well, a lot of groundwork, of course, was laid with Werewolf and the Howling, because everything before that had really been done with dissolves, and so Rick and Rob Bottin both, gave it a whole different angle, and
You and I applaud you because you really made it different. That was coming. I mean, it's tough act to follow those two werewolf transformations, but you did it.
Yeah, it was its own thing. It was, and
but remember, it was at a very in this instance, and effects always work better if they are in support of a really, vital piece of emotion, and that was it was a good scene, and since it was a good scene. You were playing the death of a beloved character rather than looking at an effects reel, So that always helps you, because if the audience is bored, they're going to look at, where it isn't working. But if they're involved in the drama as they were here, it was much better to see him, pulling out of it like that than it would have been to see him transform. So that was very canny on Mr. H's part.
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, well done.
Well done, Tom.
Now, faintly courageous here.
Faintly courageous. Charlie Brewster, vampire hunter. They're getting her coffin ready, right? They're not gardening.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is vampire gardening.
Vampire gardening.
Gardening at night.
Little REM reference there, Jeremy, for those of you not
Sorry.
that was good. I like that. I love this POV stuff, Tom. No, was this steady? What was it on a?
It's in a crane.
A crane. Okay.
Yeah, because this was really on a second floor, even though it was in the soundstage. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really up there.
So the soundstage was built like the house with a second floor and a
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For these shots. I mean, I had the shots, and I worked with the production designer in the design. And so the sets were built for the shots, because the shots were worked out ahead of time.
And this is the end of Billy Cole.
Well, you think it's the end, and then it's the end, and then it's the end.
Right.
Yeah.
It keeps ending.
The Terminator.
Yeah.
Keeps coming back.
Well, it gets so excessive that it's actually it not really played for laughs, but it is funny. I remember when I saw this the first time in the theater that it got like a huge laugh. Just how he kept coming.
Well, yes, it's they think it's over, and then you hear,
Yeah.
Well, again, and this is again the Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, where we see he gets up, and they're unaware of it. It's like when Frankenstein.
There you go, exactly.
Coming towards them, and
then you hear the creak in the stairs. Oh boy! Oh no!
Did you say something?
yeah, but.
And he had the eye contact and the wayward eye.
That's right.
What was that?
To make him look brain damaged.
He had Billy Cole or Jonathan had a wayward eye contact in one of his eyes, so he was going the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, I know. See that?
That's awesome.
Oh, that's the detail. And again, I love that.
There we go.
So he is a transitional vampire.
You want to talk
so
about
he
this
needs-
effect, Randy?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, this was there, again, huge amounts of excessive work were done on this one. Rob Cantrell, who's passed away since, did a lot on designing this and on this effect, and it was a combination of rubber pieces and green goo, and here heat guns melting in time lapse, melting gelatin. You know.
On set, or did you do this?
No, this
post?
is blue screen. Blue screen.
Oh, really? So Billy, were you and Roddy there?
That was
the
on set, I believe. That's on set.
Okay.
on set.
And you obviously weren't seeing anything. You had to.
No, Tom would talk us through it. You know, we'd sit there with our our setup there, and then he would tell us what we were seeing, what
And okay, so Billy, once and for all, is a transitional vampire.
was.
Right. Was. And Jonathan says he has that skull. So he has the skull, you have the fangs, Roddy kept the vampire kid. What do you have, Billy?
Is there anything left?
You have the blazer? With
Memories.
Speaking of memories, I think she's wearing rubber ones. No, it's true. There was
Memories.
No, that's what I mean. I got our memories.
Yeah, you got the rubber. You got the rubber boobs.
Clarify that.
She was such a good sport about getting the life cast taken, and of course this whole face thing that she shows up with, which wasn't on the budget. In the budget,
Yes. Randy did me a favor, and I told him it would only be a few frames.
Yeah, just a few frames.
It ended up in the one sheet.
He wanted just this shark mouth. Can you do a shark mouth? I said, well, it's not in the budget, but I can stay on the weekend and do something real quick and real rough. And so he said, I said, sure, I'll be happy to, We gave it to him as long as it's on for just a couple of frames, because it's not going to survive any longer than that. So they put the thing on, very, very fast, very rough, crude work. And this isn't it. This is her
You'll know
straight
it when you
vampire.
see it.
Yeah, I'm afraid
He's talking
so.
about down in the basement.
Down in the
She
basement.
turns away and
But
turns
anyway,
back.
so it's on for almost a reel.
Right.
And then
That's
they
the
put it
one
on the
sheet.
fucking poster.
It's on the It was an idea that I had when I was blocking the scene down in the basement.
Really? You got
and
it then?
And yeah, and then Randy did it for me in a weekend. It wasn't in the script. I just was watching it play down there, and I said, if she turns away and then turns back with that mouth,
With a
that's
shark
every
mouth.
guy's
You said a
nightmare.
shark mouth.
Now here you come with John DeCure built the set for this. There.
I love that.
And see, he read that in the script. He built the set for it. And
And that was great. The stuntman,
That's right.
real crisp pops out.
up.
What a great trick.
And there's a cut in there of where he hits the balustrade, and the balustrade explodes.
This is very physical, Billy, for you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot. I mean, this is really crisp. You guys are really knocking each other around.
This is definitely my favorite part. I love this.
Aw.
Yeah, and I love that we accept him finding faith over the course of a night. I mean, when you're faced with something like this, you kind of have no choice. You're backed into a corner. And
Well, again, one of the themes of this film that is a theme of The Exorcist, a theme of classic horror films, is sometimes it takes getting fucked by the devil to accept goodness, Evil has to screw you to finally find faith, and that's what's happened to him,
And here's coming a big effect sequence, Randy. It hits him, it go to a shadow for the transition, going down the wall. Goes into your sculpture of the bat attacking him at the foot of the stairway.
Right,
The bat that gave you cancer.
Yes, yeah. I was, but it was worth it. I was actually operating Kermit the Bat on this damn
Kermit
thing.
the Bat.
Yeah, it was.
But this is a whole long sequence
It
that
is,
Richard
yeah.
Edlund put together. The opticals are Richard.
Right, absolutely.
So great.
The light and the roto animation of there's a shadow transformation in this
On
in
the
this
wall.
instance.
Roddy finally has his confidence, and the gig is up for Chris. Awesome.
There you go. And there's the shadow.
Oh,
Transforming.
Which reminds me of the
And here
transformation.
you come, and you go to Randy Cook's bat.
Right?
And now Randy's off screen. He's operating the bat.
And yes, I'm afraid so. It's dripping on me, and my arm's going dead. And the bat actually in one of these shots actually breaks. You know, the face breaks, and we had to mend it because it was so very thin. You know,
Great
right?
sculpting,
Yeah.
man. Great image.
But
You know, that rotoscoping just now reminded me a little bit of Al Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
Yeah,
whatever.
as a matter of fact.
You know, when Bela Lugosi turns into the bat. And,
yeah, absolutely.
It's
I
exciting.
love that.
You're blending eras. It's
I
the
love
old
it.
school
I love
and
it.
it's
There's another shot.
I love
Yeah.
the touch of that falling down. You know,
That's to conf-
selling the
That's
bat.
to confuse
Yep.
the eye,
Yep.
the column falling over. So you
And it
don't.
gives some, desperately gives some contact, between the two, because otherwise it's just a bat matted onto the into the hallway. And I think we shot that at like 2 frames a second of him because it was a big thing. So we made a puppet rig that allowed him to flap like he was really trying to get the hell out of there.
Now, Tom, when you wrote the script, the stake through the heart. Did you said that? Did you know how you were going to kill Jerry? Did you want to do it the traditional way? Because did you decide? Oh, I'm going to do the son. I mean, how did you finally decide to kill Jerry?
Boy, I think the son. I mean, the way it's written, all this was written.
But when you were writing it, you thought, let's do the son.
Well,
versus-
originally Roddy, was the one who pulled the thing off the
window.
or something. I think. Yeah.
Okay. And then I rewrote it. Is that what happened?
Well,
or just in the blocking.
I think in the blocking.
Okay. I know that I came up with the idea of her with the shark mouth here as we were blocking it out. And Randy put it together over the weekend.
Now those are fake boobs she has.
Yeah.
Okay. Very different types of coffins too, which I love. Fake boobs, all right.
Well, somebody in the makeup department had thought it would be a good excuse to get her naked and cast her body. So, which is how it works in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the Bose is finally gone.
Well, she really went with it too. Didn't
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
She's selling it. I mean, it's hard to believe it's the same
Now she
character
plays.
from the
She
beginning.
plays in his guilt.
Yeah.
And
Oh, here comes my
Yeah,
finest
weekends.
hour.
One of the
Drops
most
the
memorable
cross.
moments of any horror film
Big
ever,
screen,
right, Jeremy?
huge screen.
Yeah.
This, that, yes, Randy Cook, yes.
Yeah, but
man.
then it keeps coming. It keeps going. Oh my God! No, Tom, you told me. You told me.
Never trust a
Jesus.
director.
Oh, Jesus.
Never trust a director.
Oh, Jesus.
But I love how it moves. I mean, it opens and closes. It's not just there like, the Mr. Sardonicus makeup.
The design isn't retarded, and I'm sorry, you shouldn't say that, but we've learned that. But the design isn't not well thought out. It's just that it was made a little crudely to be seen over and over and over and over and over again.
But how did you make it so that when she opened her mouth, you did not see her real mouth?
You paint it black. You know?
Okay. Rolling Stone
She
reference.
actually
I
had
like
her
that.
lunch break between.
Oh yeah,
She had to go
that's
eat.
right. And then here's the thing. Yes, and she did it.
Here's your
And those
Nosferatu.
Ferratas
Yes.
there.
That's
Gotta
right.
get that in there. Well, no, but her mouth, it's kind of the vagina dentata, though, isn't it? Isn't that?
Yes, that's
No, it's
exactly
actually
right,
on her
yes.
face.
I'm saying it moves around.
Oh, kind of. I see.
Well, but
Very
can you
interesting.
imagine
I never heard that
Can you
before.
imagine that going down on you? That's,
Yeah.
imagine oral sex.
Don't do it.
That's right.
Oh, Jerry looks pissed.
He's an amiga.
Oh.
Wires.
Wires.
Huh.
All Chris Sarandon not doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, he did it all.
You know, everybody in this film just game.
And this
giving
is
it
after,
their
and
all.
this is Chris doing all this after hours and hours and
Yeah.
hours in the makeup chair. You know, so it's like working 2 full days.
Yeah, and
you know?
he did. There was one day where he got into this regalia and they didn't use him. He was
Well,
in
that's
this
yeah.
thing for like 8 or 9 hours, and they
That's
said you
been
can go
known.
home.
That's been known to happen. I'm afraid.
Show business.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Roddy, there he is. He's throwing it.
Huh.
He's got the Klieg lights off camera.
Oh God.
And you kind of feel sorry for Jerry. I can't help it. Like it's just he's to see some a formerly so superior, in control creature being so just annihilated.
It's protracted. I mean,
And here's a great moment, and bang, and the sound cuts out, and it goes without sound now. And now it's just natural sound. I can't remember, is that Brad Fidel or not? Or me, I can't remember where that came from. And
He fell on one of those takes. You remember that when he was jumping over the coffin? He ended up straddling.
Oh, here we go. Brilliant.
Oh God.
you think in the blocking we had you pull it back, huh? And I remember that we had this was all Richard Edlin, and then
But that is an actual dummy, right? That's on fire.
Well, originally, we had one. We had a dummy that was on fire that was actually made of the skin was actually made of the same chemical they make magician's flash powder out.
Okay.
Flash paper, and it was just painted into molds, and then so it ignited. Very dangerously, very quickly. We didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It was
Almost burned the
like our
stage
version
down.
of the Super Hadron Collider. Maybe it'll create a black hole, and maybe it won't. Let's see.
And I love how
Only one way to find out.
Yeah.
when you finally destroy him, though, his skeleton is of a bat creature. That was really
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah.
I mean, that's his real form. If vampires, when they die, revert to their real form, that's really what Jerry Dandridge is.
And I remember we didn't have that last shot of the reverse of the flames pulling in and of itself with the sound, saying he was gone permanently, and we added that in post. I remember that. But that was about the only thing that didn't work in everything that Richard did. That was about the only addition that we had to do.
But again, the majority of the effects, Randy, were done. Didn't need to be done in post, right? The majority were done on
this
set.
is more of a makeup heavy show than an optical heavy show. But there are, there were, numerous opticals like the matte painting that complements
Right.
this shot, and like the guy in the mirror who isn't in the mirror, and a number of those things. So there were, a lot of. I don't know what the count is on the opticals here, but there are a fair few.
And we end where
And I mean Jerry, the blue screen
Flying.
shot of him, being thrown backwards on fire. A couple of shots of the bat flying. There's quite a bit of that.
And we end where again the forced sale. And one thing that just hit me was all the monster posters are gone. Right now he's not in. The monster stuff's not in his room anymore.
Right.
Now it's all cars. Now he's a
all
cool
cars.
kid, a man.
Yeah.
None of that sissy monster stuff. Cars and.
And for the sequel, Christine moves in next door. So.
Now is this when we see when he's about ready to go back and then finally complete the sex act, and once again Evil Ed pokes up the red eyes we see in the next in the next house next door, and Evil Ed, is this where Evil Ed says, "Oh, you're so cool"?
The
Buster?"
famous line. The famous line. What is this? And that's Rick Baker.
Octoman.
Yep. Rick Baker is Octoman.
And here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, do it.
Oh, wow.
Oh boy. Okay.
Get ready. Do
Get
it.
ready. Get ready.
Do it, Stephen.
You're so cool, Brewster.
Bravo!
all right.
Bravo!
So after this, when this movie came out, were you surprised by the the hit that it was? Did you expect it? You finished filming this, and then Billy, Steven, you went on to other movies. When did you realize? Oh my God, we really.
I think that the life it has now is greater than it was when it came out. I mean,
Yes, but at the same time, it was a huge hit overseas, a huge hit in I remember Guy McElwain in Japan and in parts of Europe. So I mean, around the world, it made an enormous amount of money.
Jeremy, it was a hit upon its first release.
Oh, absolutely, it was. It outgrossed Weird Science that summer, which was, a film that is
Turn the lights.
probably one of the more popular films that summer. But yeah, no, it was kind of a late summer hit. It wasn't. That was the summer of Back to the Future, and
I remember I saw it on a double feature with Youngblood with Rob Lowe.
A
It was at the
natural
drive-in. It was Youngblood and Fright Night. I think they saw blood in the title, and somebody thought, oh, Youngblood.
yeah.
But now all these years,
More sports.
Yeah, Betty Balsam.
all
Betty
these
Lee.
years later,
Yeah.
great crew. All these years later, in Dallas, we had that first cast and crew reunion, and here we are, the eve with this big sold-out midnight show at the New Yard. I mean, did you expect this? What's it like for you guys to revisit this?
That it would live on like this? No.
I had no idea.
Or they would grow in popularity like this? No, I didn't.
I didn't think that I would see anybody ever again. Because you go your separate ways and all that stuff. So, but it's great that it's just a wonderful surprise to find so much interest and life in it. Yeah, and a little weird too. To 25 years later almost to be talking about it. And,
Yeah, I mean, I can, from reading the script the very first time to now, it's fascinating, the events that have taken place, and it's just, it's a good movie. I mean, it's definitely something to be proud of. So.
I want an Evil Ed action figure. Where the hell's the Evil Ed action? And the Jerry Dandridge action figure and the Fright Night playset. Come on, guys. Let's get that going, Well, I guess we want to thank everybody for...
I want to thank you, and Jeremy.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you
Tim
guys.
Sullivan,
so much
Jeremy
fun
Smith.
to go through it.
It's. I mean, when Jeremy and I pinch ourselves, we go, we see these movies, and then here we are with you guys. It's just an honor and a thrill.
When I was 11 years old seeing this in the theater, I never thought I'd get to be here with you guys doing this. This is insane.
It's been our pleasure.
It's the fun part of doing what we do.
And all you guys out there, we want to thank you for sitting in front of your computer, not once but twice, because we got 2 commentaries on that. And again, this was really done as a thank you for you all and a labor of love. And you've kept this movie alive. You keep all the movies alive. We're just going to keep honoring the people who make the movies we love.
Yeah, thanks for having good taste.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, the cast. And thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Randy Cook, William
Always.
Ragsdale, Stephen Jeffries, Tom Holland, and Jeremy Smith. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Good night. God bless.
Keep watching.
Yes, yes.
Off to the midnight screening at the New Art.